drink a lot, now he talks a lot. He'll keep you on your toes. It's the Eric Miranda Show. When he drank a lot, he would fight a lot. He might punch you in your nose. It's the Eric Miranda Show. There are people who would tell you he is crazy, but if you listen closely, he's unbelievable. He used to drink a lot, now he talks a lot. He'll keep you on your toes. It's the Eric Miranda Show.
Woohoo! Good evening. Good evening. And should I just be like, hi, I'm Eric. I'm an alcoholic. Should I do that? You know, I'm not supposed to break my anonymity. Isn't it funny though?
That was the meeting.
What was that?
I didn't know that was the meeting we were doing.
Oh, well, so the thing that's weird is like when you pee in your pants and pissing on a dumpster, everybody knows you're a drunk. But then when you become an alcoholic, you're not, you go to AA, that's when you're an alcoholic, right? Like you don't become an alcoholic from drinking, you become an alcoholic from going to meetings. Pretty interesting, right? I never thought of that.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about it.
So the thing is, hello everyone. So you may see that we're absent of other people tonight. Everything gets crazy, the scheduling, and I've been getting complaints. Now I want to tell you, on the one hand, I appreciate that so many people are kind to me and they care. And then I kind of get a little frustrated when people seem to know how to do this better than me. I mean, you may, but I'm like, okay, when you do the Daphne Douglas show, then that's a made up name. That's not a person. That was just me doing that thing that I do. So anyway, so I just want to talk a little bit. So this week, like, first of all, OJ's dead. First, OJ was free. Now OJ's dead. And so I definitely want to talk a little bit about OJ because
in between, OJ was not free.
Well, he ended up spending like well over 10 years for unlawful imprisonment in Vegas, was it, where he held those guys hostage and over memorabilia. And what's crazy about that is that was definitely a zealous judge who really, as far as I'm concerned, is like, oh, now we got you. So people don't believe in acquittal. I was just talking to Chris Flugmacher. I would have acquitted OJ based on what I know of the trial. Now, I know you watched some of the documentaries, so you know better than I do, but like reasonable doubt is reasonable doubt. You're supposed to convict people when you know beyond a reasonable doubt that they did it. And that, just the whole, right? Remember, like, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit, right? When Joe Cocker said that, Joe Cocker, what would you think if I put on a glove? Would you stand up? I just called Johnny Cochran Joe Cocker. Totally. I misgendered him. What were you going to say? I just misgendered.
I forgot. I have no idea what I was going to say.
You're talking about I was talking about the glove, and because you saw those documentaries. So what now?
So there's two. Only one's a documentary. There's The People versus O.J. Simpson, which was a dramatization of like the story, and then there's, I think it's called O.J. Made in America, which was an ESPN documentary. And they're both, I mean, I watched first the fictionalization, the dramatization version, and then the documentary. And I'm glad I did it that way because I'd forgotten. I mean, I was young when a lot of this was happening, so I'd forgotten a lot of just the facts around all of it. And so watching that recreation helped me get the timeline back and everything before the documentary. And then the documentary is devastating to watch. It's
all right,
phenomenal.
All right, I'm going to check it out. I didn't have time to do it before the show because, I mean, I just kind of learned that he died a few hours ago. So check it out. The thing that's crazy to me is I remember working with Dan Volkamer. I remember moving furniture while that was going on. The night that it happened, I was actually with Peter Cooper-Schmidt and Dan Volkamer going out to a place called, I don't remember what the place was called, and we were watching the chase. And then we left and we got in the car and we're going to this thing. And we were like listening on the radio, like, holy cow. And they're like, and the top of the Bronco is still the top of the Bronco. Like, I don't know how they narrated that on the radio, but it was amazing how they gave us a blow by blow of a car rolling down the road. without incident, actually. But I remember when he was acquitted thinking, like, Mark Furman, what was that dude? Because I saw him, like, as a Fox analyst one night. I'm like, we listen to this guy? I mean, did he plant the glove or did tell me
I
about the
can't
glove.
remember. So, what I remember, and I don't know if I'm
Sound
getting it right,
bites.
someone else can chime in if in the comments if they remember, but essentially, there was a glove at the crime scene.
Yep.
Unclear whether it was left there by the killer
Right.
or by a police or someone else who planted it, but
Right. And
the
they told
defense
him
said it was planted. The prosecution said it was left there by the killer, and so the defense
but it didn't
very
fit.
savvily calculated that
Right.
if the glove didn't fit,
Right.
you must
That's
acquit.
when Johnny Cochran said, "If the glove doesn't fit, you have to acquit." But my point is this: I remember the glove not fitting, and if they planted on him, shouldn't they have like done more due diligence to see how? Wouldn't it be great if they planted a condom and they would
Well,
have been
that's
like,
why it's probably unlikely that it was planted, right? Like, it's probably that it was just
just
the
there?
fears are is it was a leather glove and it shrunk because it was so
Yeah,
big
no.
and
Hang on.
moisture
This whole
flooded.
shrink. Look, I have gloves that I've worked on roofs with my buddy Gary, that are like 25 years old. They've been out in the sun. They've been soaked in like gasoline, whatever, and they still fit. This thing that the
Well,
glove.
do you think he did it?
Do I think O.J. Simpson did it? You know what? I'm not even going to answer that because it doesn't matter if I think he did it. I probably would have acquitted him of murder. And the system that I believe in, that means he's innocent. In other words, I can't sit here and pretend like they gave me reasonable doubt with the glove. It was just like there's so much shady stuff,
But
and
that's why I mean, you have to watching all the facts around this case is unbelievable. Like, there were so many bizarre, weird things that happened that if some one or two things were different, it may not have unfolded in the same way.
wait,
Yeah, so Jerry's forensics,
do I tell, wait,
um,
do I tell, forensics botched the evidence, whatever. So, right. So reasonable doubt, but yeah, I
yeah,
agree with Gerald. So wait, I have a story for you. So, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on the show, but so Cato Caitlin would do a poker game on Wednesday night. I was producing a record with a girl named Lisa Buckles, and she was a real star collector. And I don't mean that in a bad way. She knew every celebrity. She brought John Entwistle to Cato's house one night. I was like, how the hell did she pull that off? But what was interesting is when she and I were working together, she's like, "Oh, let's go see my friend Cato." And I said, "Oh, cool." And then she's like, "Listen, I just want to tell you it's Cato Caitlin." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "Whatever you do, don't mention the OJ trial or that you know him from the OJ trial." I'm like, "Yeah, what do you think? I'm stupid? Like, I'm not looking at the scar on his neck." It was like a Cheech and Chong thing, right? I get to his house. I have a guitar on my back, and I'm wearing like a silver lame shirt. I remember I look like I got shot out of a cannon, right? And I get to the party, and Cato, she introduces me, and he's like, "Do I know you?" And I was like, "No, I don't think we've ever met." He's like, "No, dude, I definitely know you." And I'm like, "No, I'm pretty sure we've never met, but I'm Eric. How do you do?" He's like, "Cato." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And he kept saying, like, "I know you from somewhere." And I was this close to saying, "Dude, I know you from the fucking OJ trial." Like, it was just like, stop. It's like everybody on earth knows you. And it was like such a crazy thing because she warns me not to do it. And it was almost like, is this like a gag they have where he pushes you to say, "Hey, you're the guy in the boathouse or the pool house." And it was just like so crazy. By the way, nicest guy in the world. And what I've heard from other mutual friends, because I hung out with a couple of people who were at his party, the poor guy, apparently he was a decent actor. And you talk about getting
Oh my
pigeonholed.
God,
You talk about
really?
getting
Yeah.
typecast. He's typecast as the pool boy.
Or like not type. It's not even typecast. It's like tarred and feathered, or like I don't know what it is. There's a different word,
Whatever it
right?
is, but like right. So the amazing thing for poor Cato is right. He's typecast as a pool guy. Like it's like crazy,
Oh
and he's in a
God.
murder trial.
Was he ever
And
in anything after that?
he did like infomercials and shit. Like I saw him hanging out with Gilligan. Like, you know what I mean? It's like what it's like fucking him and Greg Brady and Gilligan. Uh,
Greg Brady.
you know what I mean? Like, oh man, like it's like, you know what? Like I never achieved the level of fame I wanted to. I'm not done yet, folks. Anyway, I never achieved the level of fame that I wanted to, but I've done some really cool things. So Francis Dunnery and I are friendly with Stephen Harris. He played with the Four Horsemen, played with Guns N' Roses at different times. And he's a real talented guy. And we had a thing called Bald on Bleecker Street because we saw one of the guys from Quiet Riot with the bad hairpiece in like one of the West Village bars playing bass. And I looked at Stephen. I said, Stephen, the only thing worse than being a never was is being a has-been. And that's when we came up with the concept of bald. Like, you know what I mean? So poor Cato, he's like got this situation, but then you have Greg Brady and Bob Denver. Is that his name? Gilligan's name?
Yeah, Bob Denver.
Bob Denver, like these poor guys. And the thing with Gilligan, when he would do like the Time Life CDs, it was like he would have the Gilligan hat on. It's like, no, he would. Now, let me tell you something. So you think he's pathetic, but I want to tell you a little story. Apparently, do you guys remember the first Gilligan's on list? It's with the movie star and the rest. The Professor and Marianne were originally the movie star and the rest are right? He demanded, he said, this show isn't the show without all of us. This is a team, there's a chemistry. And he insisted that he would leave the show as soon as his contract expired if they didn't include the Professor and Marianne in the song. So this dude is cool. So Bob Denver
I didn't know he had that much pull.
He was Gilligan. It's Gilligan's Island, honey. If it were Marianne's Island, I'd understand your point. But come on, Which reminds me, Gilligan's Island. Do you remember when we were watching that show? Did we talk about this last week? What was the name of that show? The one... Narcos.
Yes.
When you said I don't buy it with the cat,
I didn't. I still don't.
You don't remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah.
Oh, you still don't buy it. So guys, I was just going to tell you. So this cat gets killed because the Narcos people are like don't want this U.S. agent living in their town and investigating things, and then he goes to work and she stays in the apartment or the house, and Sheila's like, "There's no way she would stay there." And I was like, this is a real story. That's like saying I don't buy it when Lincoln gets shot. It's like it really happened. So that's but so getting back to Gilligan and Skipper. So Cato has his issue, but the fact that Gilligan wore the hat, you know what I mean? Like that would be like
wear
the Johnny Bravo outfit. Remember that? Because the suit fits, man. That was like they were like all knocking on the but I just want to tell y'all something. So I don't know what freaked me out more this week. So we didn't die from the Four Horses of the Apocalypse. And this week I had two real big issues. Actually, one of them was with some friends. Somebody mentioned like that God's punishing us. Let's just start with something. I have issues with some of the militant actions of the trans community. So I'm just going to say that, but I'm not anti-trans. And so I'm just going to say that out there, but guys, Jesus hung out with sinners. So if you believe that being trans is sinning, and again, I'm not making that statement, but if you're one of those people who thinks these people are heathens, they're going to hell, whatever these stupid things that you say are, Jesus would be hanging out with them. If I don't even think Jesus would be hanging out, he'd be like, yeah, dude, that's a cool outfit, like whatever. Like, I don't think Jesus would get into that debate. But if they're sinners like you think, you know who I'm talking about, right? Then you suddenly have this thing where it's like, if they are sinners, then Jesus is hanging out with them and not you because you're righteous, right? So I got this thing where I was told that we're going to have an eclipse, and that earthquake that happened in New York, that woke me up. I was in bed twice. There was an aftershock later that day. But I got to tell you, if we're going to die because of trans people, then, so the Bible says God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. So what is the verse that I didn't read? God's forever loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. But you suck, buddy. Like, what is that? Does God love us or not? I say yes.
Are you asking me?
God. I'm asking my friend who drinks a lot. He's not really fit. So he's like the ego, the indulgence, the distractions, but he hears the voice of God telling him that we're going to die on the, 26th of May. I don't remember what the date was, but whatever. And I'm not saying that people don't have a right to that, but I remember it's not for you to know the time of the seasons. So I hear people. So this is what I wanted to say tonight. I just want to say this before we go into the show. I'm a Christian, but not the way most Christians think. And I'm not going to tell you what the difference is. Doesn't matter. I'm a conservative, but not the way most conservatives think. And I'm a liberal, but not the way most liberals think. And I'm not a scholar, but I'm not as dumb as you think. And I'm not necessarily a comedian, but I'm fucking funny. So, but the point that I'm making is, I was actually thinking, should I say I'm gay, but not the way you think? But then I'm thinking, no, I'll never escape that one. People will just take that clip. No, but my point is, why do we have to be hardcore anything? And then I was thinking, somebody said, well, God, killed Sodom and Gomorrah and the flood well, first of all, that was pre-Jesus, right? So my question is, we can't figure out what happened in a laboratory in Wuhan, China right now. And we have breaking news on like Jonah and the whale. You know what I mean? Like, come on. Like, this is what I mean. We got to, and then think about that. I was thinking, look, well, the King James, the king, there's no such thing as a king. For my English friends, sorry. Her name was Liz. She's dead. But right, he without gallstones, let he first cast a stone.
Pass him first.
Right, he first pass a stone. So, but my point is simply this, right? It's like I just don't want to be hardcore anything. And the divide is so manufactured. Now, the queen isn't the queen. She's a woman named Liz, who, by the way, are from the House of Hanover. They're all German, right? Like, read a book, right? They're all German. Oh, there's a Castles of Steel and Dreadnought. Oh, these two books on like the buildup to World War II, the naval buildup. But they're all intermarried. So this is a German family who comes to England at some point, and they're the House of Hanover. And what fascinates me is it's the King James. So by nature, his version of the Bible has to have some political stunts in it because he's got to maintain control. So what I'm saying is, don't be cynical about everything, but you should always ask questions. And I'm just saying, if you think, I'm going to say this, and if I go to hell, if I get struck by lightning, if that purple dinosaur like electrifies me, kills me, so be it. If I have a heart attack,
before you say, can I just move a little bit farther away?
Yeah, right. So, but my point is this: when I was getting these messages from friends on this text chain about we better repent because of an earthquake. Okay, earthquakes have been happening since the dawn of civilization. And an eclipse go watch a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. He used Poor Richard's Almanac to figure out when the freaking thing was coming 400 years earlier because he was, you know what I mean? It's a great book. And Bing Crosby wasn't.
Am I getting it wrong? Okay, sorry.
But no. So all I'm saying is, if an eclipse, which always happens, and an earthquake, which always happens, is a sign from God that we're going to die, then God, your God, whoever's thinking that, is a dick. I'm a Christian. I believe in Christ. I don't think Christ was a jerk. You know what I mean? And my friend who's telling me that this is going to happen, he's overeating and drinking and sleeping all day. And Jesus was on a mountain or whatever for 40 days and 40 nights. So he, the Son of God, could hear God. So how did you pull that off, dude? And I love my friend who I'm talking about, but it's just like, so he freaked me out this week. And you could pull me back to what you're going to say, wife. And then the other person is Sunny Hostin. Is that her name from The View? She blamed the earthquake and the eclipse on global warming.
No.
She blamed the eclipse on global warming. And to what's her name? Whoopi Cushion? Whoopi Berg? Whoopberg? What's her name again? Whoopi.
We know what her name is. Just keep going.
Yeah, right. So whoopity-doo actually corrected her. And she's like, yeah. I mean, what is like molten lava? What is that? The temperature of that.
What are the criteria for being on The View, by the way?
It must be that you have to be stupid, because she said, but guys, global, when I think of the globe, I think of our globe, Earth. Last time I checked, the moon and the sun aren't actually on Earth. And the sun is what's making it warm, right? Isn't that what the story is? So how the heck did that happen? I was just like, and again, I don't want to get overtly political, but I'm just thinking, so I have friends on one fake side of this telling me that we're going to die because Jesus is pissed about trans people. Is he going to save J.K. Rowling? I don't know. And oh, by the way, she liked one of my responses to her tweet. I loved it. And then like, I don't, what's going on? So, and that's what I'm saying. So I'm going to believe everything that's in the Bible exactly as is written, but I have a whole country who can't figure out who's crazier, the end of the world guy or Sonny Hostin saying that global warming caused an eclipse. Like, you got to ask questions about what's going on in front of you every day. And now, again, I don't think I'm smarter than anyone, but I'm perplexed that we're just buying everything.
I mean, I think you'd honestly, if you have conversations with most people, you find most people fall into that understanding that there isn't a literal interpretation, especially of the Old Testament, at least from in the world of Christianity.
That's because they're
in the United States.
That's because they hate Jews.
But back to the, like, isn't, when you talk about repenting, and correct me if I got this wrong after 16 years of Catholic
I'm certainly not a biblical scholar, so be careful asking me.
But after 16 years of Catholic school, my understanding of Catholicism and the greatest thing is, like, you get to just walk in that booth with the priest and repent whenever you want, and you're fine. Well, it's like a do-over, right? Isn't that what confession is?
That's not what he called it when I was in there. I was little. Sorry. Anyway,
bend over, not a do-over.
That's horrible. Well, to me, repenting is when you pay for the hooker with your own money. So see now, if I had a guest on here, I'd have to apologize. But right, so I don't think it's a do-over. I think the word sin comes from the word sina, which is Greek, which means it's an archery term for misses the mark. So we all miss the mark every day. So if I'm a sinner because I get angry with my kids, and you're a sinner because you get angry with me for getting angry with the kids, it's kind of like that Fabergé commercial, like she told one friend, and so on and so on. No, but in all seriousness, if I'm going to sin and you're going to sin, and then people say gay people are sinners, it's like, yes, so are you. Who made the degree of sin? Who decided? I once saw this great thing between Milton.
The Catholic Church did that.
Did they?
Oh yeah, there's like mortal, venial, cardinal. There's
venial when you drink too much wine? Oh, that's venial. Okay. Venial meaning vain.
I'm pretty sure the Catholic. That's the least offense. That's like a misdemeanor.
Okay, all right. So my point is this. Okay, they were. I never heard Jesus say anything about degrees of sin. Never. But I could be wrong. Now, my next question is, if there are degrees of sin. No, look, I once saw a great interview. There's a clip you guys can look up on YouTube. It's a young, who did the Columbine, Bowling for Columbine? Why am I spacing out on him?
The big guy.
Big guy. What's his name? What, can somebody please text us? What is his name? The guy
I don't know.
He's in my
the other one. Too.
He did like Bowling for Dollars.
From Detroit.
Yeah, come on. What's his name?
What is his name? I don't know. I can't remember.
Michael Moore.
Okay, Moore.
And I played paddleball with a guy named Michael Moore. So Michael Moore was a young economics student, and he was at the University of Chicago, and he was arguing with Milton Friedman. And he was saying basically that if you fix the bumper on the back of X cars to be a 20 mile an hour, but he was talking about the lives you can save. And Milton Friedman's point was, well, at what point do you stop spending money? At what point does the car become not profitable? And it was who makes the decision at how many lives the safety features are supposed. And it makes sense. Like, somebody eventually has to make a decision. Like, okay, if we make it an army tank, you get, but then you're killing more people. So it's like that with sin. Who decides that my being gay is Dante this? Okay, right. So Dante, Jesus, guys, go read the story of the founding of Rome. Romulus is probably not real. And if he's real, well, I was given a message that Michael Moore would eat a lot this week. That's a heavy, anyway, well, I got it. But my point is this: who gets to decide, right? So right. Oh no, Johnny, hang on a second. Now, Johnny just took a crack.
And then we're gonna get a phone line. People can call in and make donations.
But I'm unreligious, guys. The only thing I'm saying about the Christ is, what's interesting? Okay, I'm a Christian, but I read Rumi more than I read the Bible. Rumi's a Sufi poet, right? So and was really followed by a lot of devout Muslims at a certain point in history. My point is, look, this is the thing, right? if I was hanging out at a party and I got to hang out with some of my musician friends and maybe Robert Plant, Francis Dunnery, Francis just had Chad Wackerman. I'm going to be like at a party with laymen or people hanging out. And I'm going to say, hey, guys, and I'm going to grab the people who I have something in common with. And I'm going to say, let's go to the diner because I want to pick Chad Wackerman's brain on like his swing feel. And I want to talk to Francis Dunnery about tapping or whatever he's doing at the time. So that means Krishna, Jesus, Buddha, Gandhi, Muhammad, they would go to the diner without you. So we sit here and we make a war between these religious figures, and they're more alike than we are. So
There's
it's
a
like, what
joke
do we?
in there somewhere.
There's definitely a joke in there. We are the religion,
but diner.
We right, but my right exactly. I'm now starting to think Bill John. No, the Parkway Diner. Jesus and Buddha were the popular steady and the king and the queen and the prom. Right. Anyway, so this is what I mean. So I'm thinking I'm not religious. I'm just saying, how do you take the brilliance of all these religious leaders? And I understand as a Christian, I believe in the resurrected Christ. So and some of that may be nostalgia because I believed that when I was a kid. And even with my ego smart enough to reject it, there's just something when I see stained glass guys, I'm like, oh, like I see the green and the blue and the red and the little Mary. The little Mary eventually came out. He was a guy in our neighborhood, but no, but like you just see all this stuff, and I'm still awed by stained glass because as a kid, I didn't understand how all of that came to be. So that's probably, Carl Jung said, honor your own myths, meaning that pre-ego ability to reject that religious stuff will stay with you and can be powerful for you. So I kind of signed up to remain a Christian just because it made the most sense to me. But I'm not going to sit here and down. There's another thing, right? A friend of mine, a guy named Tamer, we're walking down a street in Brooklyn. He gives money to these people in front of an abortion clinic. Now, I'm thinking of all my anti-abortion, pro-life Christian friends who then talk poop about Muslims. It's like, you guys are in this together. It's like Ralph Nader working with Pat Buchanan all the time. It's like, why are you fighting with somebody who can help you? Am I crazy right now? Am I just losing it? Ah! Do we have any comments? Do you have any?
You can't. Being Catholic is kind of like being a lawyer. It's like even if you stop practicing, you're still Catholic. It's like if you stop practicing law, you're still a lawyer. You still have that like.
Did you hear about the lawyer
structure of the world?
Did you hear about when the wall between heaven and hell broke? St. Peter said to the devil, he said, I'm going to sue you. And he said, where are you going to find a lawyer? Anyway, all right. Wah, wah, wah. Okay, street jokes. So Johnny Suede, but I'm not religious. I'm if Jesus' first command was to love thy neighbor the way I love myself, does that mean I have to go give the neighbor a reach around? No, but my point is, but right, but but I don't even want to expose it. Again, this is not so much about other people. This is about what I believe. How do I, as a man who considers himself fairly bright, and I try to be intellectually honest. So even when I don't think I know, it's a racket for sure. But right, it's a racket. But then the beauty. So how do you get rid of the religion without getting rid of the beauty of Jesus? And how do you get rid of like the poetry of Sufism and the power? I mean, I think the modern university was founded on Muhammad's ideas. So how do we keep all the good stuff that is the reason they stuck around so long? What was that song by Jesus Saved Me by Jethro Tull? If Jesus saves, he better save himself from the glory seekers who use his name in vain. How do we save the beauty and the power of these teachers? No, religion is based on fear, but I don't think Christianity and Buddhism.
I would say, and it's not necessarily religion, it's organized, structured.
Right. It's, I mean, I've read a lot about this. I can go deeper. I don't want to sound like a know-it-all. I just want people to understand my belief is I will take a man who is a devout anything and practices love of humanity, like if Muhammad said, do this and it's good, and most of it is good. I have a Quran right 10 feet from me and I've read it. If something is good, like loving thy neighbor or feeding the poor, anything, and they say you can't work your way to heaven. Okay, maybe you can't. But if you're religious and you do your religion and you're not a hypocrite, I'm all for whatever religion. So I'll take a devout religious person who's devout and real over a person who says, I mean, do you guys realize that in this country, it was against the law for people of color to marry? I think I have that right. Wasn't it against, like, when you were in the South, you couldn't legally marry a slave, right? Or would you just
Wait,
get the
what?
crap? Could you marry a slave? Could I marry my slave if I had a slave, an African slave in the South?
You as a white
Me as like, I think there were laws against
interracial marriage was,
marriage.
like,
Yeah, it was a
forbidden
law.
in certain states until, like, the
Like last
70s
week.
or something.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
so the thing is, so think about that. So how do you go to church and accept that? You talk about denying the science. The science is, if a person of color has a child with me, that's living proof that God approves of that, because that's real. You know what I mean? And I just don't understand what I'm fighting against. So I don't want to. I have so many people who can't. Yeah, exactly. The word of Christ. And this is what I mean. So I'm not going to crusade, but but hang on. I'm missing my own point here, because what I'm trying to convey is we get lied to every day on TV, on the news, etc. Right? So how do I not investigate what I believe on a regular basis? Every time somebody says, Jesus said, it's like, did he? You know what I mean? Like, I have to keep investigating to make sure what I'm doing is the next right thing, because I don't know what happened in a hotel in Vegas where guys, all the information that, like we have, black boxes that disappear. We don't know what happened to the plane, but everybody knows what happened, 2,000 years ago when Jesus said, hear ye, hear ye. I'm sorry, that was Shakespeare, but it was Caesar via Shakespeare. Anyway, I'm pooped. I said a lot. What do you say, wife?
I mean, I think you're correct in everything that you're saying. I think most people have a more liberal interpretation of religion, what it means, and how to get along with other people of other religions. Then I think there's a very loud, persistent, dogmatic segment who feels the need to be heard on a lot of this stuff. But I think the large majority of people say, look, you go to temple on Saturday, I go to church on Sunday, we all work together on Monday, and we're all people and we're all trying to make good in this world. And we just do it in
You
different
went to
ways.
Jesuit schools. That's why my experience is that, I'm telling you, like, I had a
Yeah,
little
totally.
thing.
I mean, my
Well,
experience was completely enlightened and,
well,
for a Catholic university or a Catholic approach. We were learning world religions like really early.
Isn't there a principle that if you think you're enlightened, you're not? Easy there, killer.
I
No,
didn't say I was enlightened.
no.
I said that the way they approach it was
No,
enlightened.
I'm kidding. So a lot of people who I'm talking about right now, some of them I've had little tiffs with this week on Facebook, and I love them all. It's not about me knowing more than them. I'm just trying to process this, and it's kind of like somebody said the other day. It was I mentioned Morgan Wallen, the country guy, and somebody said, "Oh yeah, I listened to him. I don't like him." I'm like, well, did you listen to him once? Because if you listen to Queen, which is my favorite band, once, and it happens to be the first Queen record, most of it is dog shit. The reason I love it is because I was 11, and by the time I realized it wasn't good, I was in love with it. You know what I mean? So just like, what is it? There's an expression that I heard in AA years ago: contempt prior to investigation is the worst form of ignorance. So I don't remember what I said, but thanks, Chris. So I just need I'm trying to process. This is not me knowing more than anyone else. This is me being confused because I want to I like belonging to things, but I don't need to belong to things. So if I'm going to belong to a religion, I think that's why I read Rumi. Rumi will talk about Jesus and Buddha all in the same. Oh, he's got this great poem where he says, a man yells in the window, the mystics are in the street performing miracles. Come out. I can't. I'm sick. I don't care if you're dead. Jesus is out here and he wants to raise someone. Like, I love that poem. But the thing is, I need, if you're going to reject other people's faith in a world where we have jet planes and internet and cell phones, where we can't just hide in another corner of the world and pretend, I can't live like that. Yeah, I have a friend, Ali Atarab. I mean, you obviously know him. And another person was at a party and found out he was Muslim, and they agreed politically on things. And he goes, but like those people aren't those. He referred to my friend as those people in my home. How do I process that? What do I do with that?
I told you that my dad was a homicide detective.
Your dad's dead. Don't pick on him.
No, this is a funny story. So he got more and more conservative over the course of his life, and my stepmother, his wife,
he just got pissed off as he
more
got
and more
older?
liberal. Like, she got more and more liberal, which was interesting. So I can't remember which Obama campaign it was. I think it was the second Obama campaign. My stepmother volunteered and actually had like volunteers for the campaign staying over at the house, with my dad. And very typical of my father, he didn't agree with any of them, but he stayed up, drinking with them all night, telling stories and cracking
They
them
can
all
agree
up.
on booze, right?
But we were all together one night, and she was kind of going at him a little bit, kind of saying like, you're whatever he said, I don't know, whatever it was, like, you're a little bit of a
And he's a
racist.
homicide detective.
And he was a homicide detective in the worst part of the city, not the south side, the west side.
That's
Um,
Chicago, everyone.
and he said, "How can you possibly say, I'm racist? Like, why are you saying I'm racist? How can you possibly say I'm racist after everything I did for those people?" And we were all like, "Oh, you had us." Like,
Those
no.
people, yeah, I can't do those
But it
people.
was an interesting perspective, right? And he was basically like, if I were racist, why would I be giving my life
Look,
to
you know
trying
what?
to improve this community?
Look, let's all admit that we're all a little racist, and I don't even mean anything by that, but, like, I don't have time to be have never been racist. I don't have time to pretend that I'm perfect, and I'm not, but I do have to say, um, when at this point in my life, even the jokes, I mean, a couple of my friends and I were just telling outrageous jokes about everyone the other day. You have to be careful when and where you tell those jokes. Like, when I tell them in front of Marcus, I'm in trouble. No, kidding. My point is, I had those people come up 2 times, and then I have a friend, Roberto Sharp. So this guy is my intellectual and physical mentor. He teaches me about weight training. He teaches me about, Tai Chi. And he's probably the person that I respect most in the world, and he's black. And when one of my friends who I reconciled with after years made a comment, all I could think to myself is, what do I say? And again, I'm not signaling, guys. I use the N word. I'm a crazy person. I say really disparaging things about people when I'm mad. So let's get that straight. This isn't, oh, Eric's going to float around and be perfect. I'm an angry moron half the time. So my point isn't to tell you how not racist I am. That's bullshit. But my point is, I have to think to myself, when somebody says something that's like really like, about physiologically other races being more or less intelligent, it's like, sorry, dude. And then I have to say, what would I say to my dear mentor, Roberto, if that person said it in front of him? Would I have to punch my other friend in the face, or like what? And that's what I'm talking about. Like, I'm trying to reconcile the world I live in, not to make you better necessarily. I'm trying to figure out where I fit in.
Well, why do you have to fit in?
Oh, I don't fit. I don't give a fuck about fitting in. You know what I mean? But I'm saying, where is my place? Because, I was talking to another friend. He's vegan. He's got the greatest firearms arsenal of anyone I know. And I think he drives like a gay car. I mean, a Prius. I'm sorry. I should not see. I'm a bigot. But you know what
I
I'm
thought you
saying?
meant a
Like,
Subaru.
you know what I mean? There was you know that woman, what's her name? You guys should check out, what's her name? Heidi Briones. Um, she's a crazy, like, right-wing lesbian. And she said something, not crazy. When I say crazy, I mean crazy funny. And one day I saw a tweet pop up of hers. I don't know her. And I was like, yeah, that's complete BS. And I like went after her and she's like, duh, I'm a humorist. And I was like, oh. So the other day she wrote on Twitter, she wrote on formerly known as Prince, she wrote, she said, I'm such a cliche lesbian. I live in Portland. I wear comfortable shoes and I drive a Subaru. And then a guy wrote, yeah, I'm almost a cliche gay man, but I don't like shopping. And I was like, oh, I'm so jealous. I'm like a cliche straight guy. How gay is that? And they were cracking up. And then I'm like, am I getting canceled? And they're like, not here. So I'm just letting you all know that I'm a bigot while I'm signaling that I'm not. But my friend who, like, where does he fit politically? How does he vote? He's probably on the show right now.
I mean, where does anybody fit politically? Like, I challenge
Oh, no,
anybody
no,
to
no, no, no,
literally
no,
sit
no, no,
here
no,
and
no, no, no,
say,
no.
"Oh,
Hang
I fit
on.
right here
No, no.
perfectly into this little slot."
No, listen, I know people who actually have, like, herniated their discs, shoving their ass backward into some ideology. This is what I mean. It's like, if you can watch CNN or Fox News, any of the shows, and repeat what they say to me and tell me that you're okay with all of it, you're a moron. How's that for me not judging other people? Like I'm telling, I know, see, I don't know the world you live in, but I know so many people. Like, somebody said to me, like, what's your stance on abortion? I was like, I don't know. No, what do you mean you don't know? I was like, I don't know. I'm not God. Life begins. I don't know. And they kept asking me and they demanded that I know. I don't know. Personally, I don't love the idea of it. I'm not going to say that things don't happen. I don't know. Does anybody know when life
Some people
begins?
do. Oh, no, sorry. Well, yeah, some people say they do.
They say they do. It's kind of like when people say they know we went to the moon or they know we didn't. Do they really? Yeah, I know we didn't. Sorry, guys. Oh, so I'm going to have a physicist on in a couple of weeks. Gethin, Lori's husband. He's a physics teacher, and he's going to tell me how we went to the moon and why it's real. And then
Do you
Dan
think he said
Volkamer,
it's real?
I think he says it's real. And he has, it's so funny because I can just pull up all
Does
these.
he say the pictures are real?
He didn't say whether the pictures are real. But I want to know, I want to ask scientific questions about how we got there. I want to know how a Jiffy Pop tin with a firecracker in it got us back off the moon. That first video, guys, I showed my children the video of us leaving the moon on the first moon landing. And they said, what's that? And I said, that's us leaving the moon. And they both started laughing. They're like, no, it's not. Because that level of crappy CGI wasn't okay with them because they'd never seen it before. I don't know. Is anybody commenting?
Can you tell us why we haven't gone back to the moon?
Oh, it's financial, of course. Are there anybody asking us questions about this? I want somebody to yell at me. I want a challenge. Somebody give me a challenge.
Oh, I don't think we have any challenges.
Oh,
We have some.
I need get to the point. What point?
A challenge.
That's the. Oh my, Will, you were my guest last week. I'm gonna go out on a boat with Will, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go. Too expensive.
Going back to the moon.
Yeah,
Not worth it.
Oh, I don't know.
ROI?
No return on investment. Well, how much did Tang sell? How much did Teflon sell?
How much technology in the development of that process does the private sector use for other things?
I don't know. If we didn't really go there, none. They made that stuff up to use it. Like Teflon, right? Wasn't Teflon weren't the panels like Teflon?
Pyrex? I don't know.
Oh, Pyrex. Maybe it was Pyrex. Was it Pyrex? Would it be funny? Can you imagine they re-enter the atmosphere and somebody like fries an egg on it?
There is Velcro. I believe that.
I don't think Velcro was part of the moon landing. Did you see those space, dude?
It's how we stuck on. It's how we stuck the landing.
We stuck the no, that's a different land. We stuck the landing with Velcro.
Yeah.
Guys, I ordered a Life magazine from the first time we went to the moon, and it didn't really and wasn't it like Loudon Wainwright who wrote the article?
Yeah, it was
Why
about
was
Loudon
Loudon Wainwright
I don't know, it was terrible. I mean, it was really like
Loudon Wainwright wrote the article, and there was nothing
there's ceramic too.
I know that they had
I don't know,
tiles.
I think my grandma was doing ceramics before the moon landing.
But I guess my issue with the whole thing is I was trying to find the truth is there's some weird pictures where the boots and the tread don't match what they say Neil Armstrong was wearing, so I'm a little skeptical of that. But he was walking to the spaceship fully dressed in a spacesuit, and I was like, did he really just strut as you know what I mean? Like, you don't get in your
But it was
car.
theater, I mean, so much of it was theater.
I think all of it was theater. I listen, I wanna listen, I don't wanna think that, JFK put this thing in motion because everybody loved him and then it didn't happen. I don't want it, but I got so many unanswered questions, you know? Like, even the solar eclipse the other day, NASA says there's nothing left to learn
Yes,
for
there's
the
no
dollar.
ROI, yeah.
They could learn how to actually get to the moon without getting fried by the Van Allen belts.
Well, but I mean, all this is being done by the private sector now, right? I mean, this is the private sector is moving commercial payload with rockets so that eventually you can move people to Mars and have a ongoing supply of goods to Mars so that we can be a multi-planet species.
Yeah, how much does what
And
is
that's
the
the private
temperature?
sector.
Okay, so we're gonna move to Mars. So we're worried about global warming, so we're gonna go to a place that's like 1,000 degrees during the day. Like, what
I'm
kind
not
of
going to Mars. I saw Total Recall. I'm not ever going to
never
Mars.
mind Total Recall. What about this one woman? She actually signs up to be one of the people who takes the one-way trip to Mars, and she's literally in this article saying, my boyfriend, he says he supports it. It's like, yeah, he's not that into you. Like, if you support your girlfriend to go on a one-way trip to Mars, I'm sorry. That's a problem. I mean, honey, if you went on a one-way trip to Mars, I mean, I think it would be like, okay, this didn't work out, right? I don't say I'm okay with it. What am I doing while you're on Mars?
I mean, whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, and like, unless wouldn't it be somebody like bleeped like my snap into Mars and you caught me?
Oh God, that would be that's what teenagers would do.
That's what teenagers would do, right? Like they'd snap me on Mars. But like
And then they'd
I'm
like
not
nuke the planet because somebody got someone
so
else's snap.
why would we move to a planet that's not habitable? Is that a right word? Habitable?
Habitable. Yeah.
I mean, I say inhabitable all the time. So why would we go someplace that we can't inhabit yet and try to make it habitable? Habitable. That is a really funny word. Habitable. Probably habitable. Why would we?
Probably habitable.
It's probably habitable. Now I want to say probably, but so why would we move to a planet that we can't inhabit instead of like not making the one we're on uninhabitable?
Well, because we don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know what's
So
going to
this
happen
is
there
about
either. Wait. How do we know what's going to happen
but
on Mars?
we don't. But if you
We
have
don't.
2 places to live versus just one, it's less likely an asteroid or other catastrophic
We
incident
don't
will
have 2
destroy the
places
planet.
to live, though. We can't live on Mars. If we can live
Not
on
yet.
Mars, okay, but what I'm saying is whatever are we gonna put a dome? Because that could get hit by an asteroid.
Oh, yeah, it could.
Right, so what okay,
It's not but the likelihood of Earth and Mars being hit by an asteroid at the same period of time is lower
clearly,
than an asteroid hitting one
they're in
or
the
the other.
same solar system. Clearly, you don't play billiards. This one right? You know what I mean? Little
No, I
bank
play
shot.
asteroids,
Alright, you
so
play
I know.
asteroids, so you play asteroids? Is that like when the Indians went to the moon? Where is that? It's been a
Is
while, guys.
asteroids the one with the little
Okay.
ball?
No, asteroids is it's got the rocks and you have the
Yeah, but it had the little roller control. Was that the
Oh,
asteroids or
I
was
don't
that
the
a different
controllers vary, but so guys, I just wanna remind you all when we're talking about the moon, this is, India landing on the moon, and this is Galaxia. I mean, They sent an 8-bit spaceship to the moon. All right, so now see, I see people. I'm getting little things. I'm getting private comments right now, like that we're all serious into Gandhi and stuff, and now we're talking moon landing. I don't know what happened on the moon. I think it's kind of weird that the moon doesn't rotate, though. Don't you? Like we
I
always see the same side
have
of the
a very
moon.
limited understanding of the moon.
Well, the moon is always like Jackie Gleason's always facing us.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's never, it's never it doesn't spin. And but I thought that was of all moons, but apparently
Tempest has the
Tempest. What is Tempest again? Oh, Tempest has is Tempest the one with that was Centipede. Did you guys ever see the human Planet 9 could wipe out both Mars and the moon in one shot? What about Earth? Could it wipe Earth out as well, Johnny Suede? What's Planet 9?
I don't know. Pluto used to be Planet 9. It's not anymore.
What is it? Moon 9? Is it not a? Did they downgrade it to like a moon?
It's a dwarf planet.
A dwarf planet. So,
That,
so if you want to go to that,
to be called that, we have to call it a little planet.
We have to call it a little planet. So, right. And if you want to get there, you follow the Yellow Brick Road. So I'm just trying to think of. So Planet 9 wasn't. Oh, I'm thinking of Client 9. Wasn't that like Elliot Spitzer?
Oh.
Do you remember that? Ashley Depew. That was so amazing. And I remember thinking that was so because I would that was before you just went on the internet. So I would go to Liquiteria, the juice bar, every morning, and I have to listen to those machines making juice while I'm reading because they had the New York Times, the Post, the Daily News, and I followed that Elliot Spitzer thing. And I didn't care. All I knew is he was accused of spying on the guy Bruno, who was the Senate leader, with the state police. People are like, oh, you're a right winger. I'm like, I don't care if it was the other way around. You can't do that. That's like KGB shit. And then I was like, what's going to happen with this? Is he going to get in trouble? And then the Ashley Depew thing happened. I was like, wow, Client 9. She was kind of hot, though. I mean, I don't know if she was worth like 10 grand over state lines and a felony, but she was definitely hot. Like it wasn't like a massage parlor in like Jackson Heights. It was
hopefully not.
Well, what do you mean? Don't knock it.
I mean, he could take that big of a risk. Hopefully, he's
It would have been less risk in Jackson Heights. He was the felony was that he sent 10 grand over state lines. Like he went to a bank and wanted to wire money to Ashley Depew, and the woman's like, "You can't send that way without X, Y, and Z." He's like, "I'm the governor of New York." It's like, okay, now you're no longer the governor of New York. So it was like he's a lawyer, right? But he made a comeback. I actually kind of respected him. He came back. He was on the news shows. And he was telling us how it was. I was like, man, this guy's got no shame. He's it was pretty good. But
yeah, clearly.
Yeah, so I don't know, but the thing is, I don't want any more political divide. And I don't want people telling me, somebody said that religion is fear. My friends were trying to, they were telling me I need to repent because of an earthquake. I need to repent because I can live a better life if I stay out of miserable things, But I was like, wait, you scare me into, and then I thought the King James Version of the Bible, it was a king. He didn't have robot police like we do. He didn't have cameras everywhere. He had to figure out how to govern his people, and telling them that the earth was going to get flooded if they didn't behave. That's how he did it, I guess. Right. Are there any Christians who want to fight me on this? And I don't mean fight me, but I mean, if somebody can explain some of this to me, is God going to do? Didn't he put her in a suitcase to get her into who Ashley Depew? No. I think that was Hannibal Lecter. I think that was Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't. No, he just. No, that was Cleopatra. She was actually Cleopatra. Do you guys know this? So Julius Caesar was chasing Pompey the Great. He chases him to Alexandria, and Ptolemy the Seventh chopped his head off, thinking he was going to win favor with Caesar. Cleopatra, his sister, was out in the marshes trying to survive, and they thought that she could persuade Julius Caesar to be an ally of hers, which he did. and then they snuck her in a carpet. And that's like a real story. That's not just from the movie. And it seems like something cool for Hollywood, but they actually rolled her up in a carpet and told Ptolemy's handlers that there was a gift for Julius Caesar. And Julius Caesar's first instinct was to put a sword through it. And they're like, no, 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 no. I don't know what their ancient Greek accent was, but they were like, no. So, so I don't know, maybe Elliot Spitzer was into Greek history and Roman history and did that. I don't know. Anybody else? Anybody? I want somebody to explain to me. I want to know if have we had any world calamities allegedly caused by God since the resurrection? That's what I want Christians, if they're watching, to tell me, because it seems to me that after Jesus, that whole like I flood the world and Tower of Babel and you can't understand. To me, that all seems like Old Testament, like before the love of Jesus stuff.
Well, horrible things happen. It's just a question.
Oh,
I mean, this is again like the Jesuits do this really well. You're challenged to take 2 classes at Georgetown. One has to be the problem of God, and that's what it's called, the problem of God. And then the one I chose, in addition to that, was the problem of evil. And it's, if God is all good, all powerful, and all knowing, why do bad things happen? Right? It's a very basic question, and it looks at like St. Augustine and Freud and German philosopher, named Naumann, and it basically tries to say, suffering is part of being human and part of the journey. And this concept that if God is all good, you don't suffer is where potentially the flaw is, right? So
yeah, we suffer. Does God go flood?
But like God doesn't say, hey, Bob, you were a jerk. Today you're going to suffer. That's my opinion. It's not necessarily like meting out justice according to your sins.
This is what I mean. So why am I getting an earthquake? I feel the earth move. Can I play that? So we have 900 earthquakes in New York in the last 100 years, right? God's not that powerful.
I mean, I got shook up by potholes more than I got shaken up.
Well, this is what I mean. By the way, we have trees. We have trees coming down in Riverdale here all the time, like falling in the street. But I mean, that's more dangerous than a little sissy quake. That wasn't even like a real quake. I was in a 7-point something in LA once. I started singing. I'm all shook up. I remember waking up. I was actually, some of you know Joe Sophia. I was staying at Joe's house, and I woke up, and he was in San Diego, where the epicenter was. And I thought he came home drunk. I was jumping on the end of my bed. I was like, and I ran between the door like they do. Isn't that like a thing? You go in the doorway, and I was like surfing.
Yeah. So here's a question for you. So when the earthquake happened last week, we all got the alerts on our phones, which was kind of wild. Mm-hmm. But it said stay inside. That would have been my last instinct, to stay inside. But I guess that makes sense.
Why does it make sense? In case the earth opens up and swallows you?
Well, I guess because it's more likely something's going to fall from a facade than a whole building will collapse. So if you like run outside onto the street, you might get hit by a brick.
So wait, so if something would fall from a facade and you'd be like, Eric, you haven't been genuine with me. I don't know. Well, I don't know about earth. Like, how do I know? I'm not a seismologist.
You lived in LA. Don't they like give out pamphlets when you go there?
I lived in LA for a little less than a year, and there was one earthquake, and it wasn't one of these. It was actually like it was the groovy kind, like you know what I mean. You put on Beach Boys.
I was in one in Haiti, like one of those. When I was in Haiti, there was a little ground roller.
Yeah, is that what? Now, can I ask you a question? Didn't people used to call hell Haiti? Is it spelled different? Because it's like people used to call Haiti,
and
right?
The Haitian, right? It's not actually Haiti. It's like Haiti. That's how you pronounce it.
Okay, but we're American English speakers, so we call it Haiti. Now, if Haiti sucks, and
says you should stay
I went under a doorway in LA. That's right. So if Haiti sucks and hell is called Haiti, how'd they not see that coming? No, for real. I don't know.
I just
like Francis Dunnery was in a band called It Bites, and they didn't know back then as Englishmen that it means it sucks in America, and they wonder why they weren't big in America. The name of that band was It Sucks. You know, George Bush wrote a book. What was it called again? The one he named one of his companies after a bush, but it ended up the name of the book was Shrub. He named one of his companies. He tried to translate in Spanish to Bush, and he ended up naming the company Shrub in Spanish.
All right, it's the witching hour. I gotta get a kid to bed.
All right, get going. I'm going to stay with my friends for a few more minutes. There's not a lot of
Good
of
night,
people.
everybody.
All right, love to all of you. But all right, wifey. See you. Oh, am I blurry? I'm like Sasquatch. I'm blurry. Anyway, so look, this is the Eric Miranda Show. This was weird doing it without Jesse and Lanichi and all them, but I just want to rant and rave a little bit. So you guys, do you realize I'm blurry? See how I get sharper? That's because of the shallow depth of field in my camera. It's a sexy camera. And the reason I keep the shallow depth of field like that is because if I didn't, you'd see that dinosaur is actually naked. He's a naked purple dinosaur. And he's not related to Barney. Anyway, so I'm just wondering if there's anything else anybody wants to say before I go. I'm going to sing the Eric Miranda Show theme, but I'm going to sing it. There've been 9. Okay. So I got that. I'm just gonna, guys, ready? Can you hear that? Somebody tell me they can hear that. Johnny Sweat, can you hear that? Oh, nobody's commenting now. Oh, that would be it right here. I want to do like a yes version of. You hear that? Oh, you can hear it. Cool. All right, cool. He used to drink a lot. Now he talks a lot. Oh, I blew that. He'll keep. I can't do it. Okay, I'm going to try this, right? I'm just going to do it with single notes. How's that? He used to drink a lot. Now he talks a lot. He'll keep you on your toes. It's the Eric Miranda Show. I can't do it. But I can do this. You hear? I can't do it. I can't. The keyboard's underneath me, so I can't. The keyboard's beneath me. I wanted to do like a yes version of it. I don't know. Okay, I'm going to let you all go now. Oh, I just want to show you all something. So this is the latest rendition of the Brian May ring that my son made me on the 3D printer. Can you see that? It's the red special ring. It's getting there. I got to kind of varnish it. All right. Peace out, everyone. Love to all of you. And God's punishing me. God's punishing me. Love to all you. Yeah, seriously, everyone. I thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. And I may be changing up days and stuff. I'll keep everybody informed, but I love that I have like stalwart people who check in, and this is really fun for me. And it's, I'm sorry I was a little preachy. Was the son of a preacher man. Dusty Springfield. Good night, everyone.